You can marry the wrong partner. It can be a big irreversible mistake. Or you choose the wrong PhD advisor. That's another irreversible mistake. Welcome back to PhD Coffee Time. This is the online community for you as PhD student to get motivation, peer support, and practical tips during your PhD. Today, I'd like to address a few common problems for PhD students during the projects. A lot of time when you sign up for PhD, you feel excited and at some point you feel totally lost. So let me cover a few most common problems that you may face. The first is you are taking your project proposal too seriously. Well, a project proposal, it is a framework for you to expand on. And most of the time, the PI could have written it and they have done the basic research. But research is a dynamic picture. The landscape of 2 years ago when this project got funded and 2 years later when you got the position to start your PhD, there could be different new findings that totally change the landscape. If you are too rigid and you are an order taker and you are not innovative enough to change the picture, you'll be stuck and you can't see beyond it. So I like to say the framework of PhD and the proposal when you start and the way you think of how you plan your day in the first year is just a guideline. And being agile and being flexible to change it is part of the game. That brings me to the second mistake you could have made is to have a timetable for 4 years of your PhD. It's tempting to lay down all your months and your goals to deliver conferences, paper every year. As a type A person, I think most people will be tempted to do that, but don't. Because that's going to create anxiety, guilt, and frustration over time. You have a defined objective, you have a defined goal to achieve something, and guess what? In the end, you may run out of resources and you can't address all of the questions and you are left there feeling like I need another 4 years to finish all of these goals. Don't get me wrong, I'm a strong advocate for planning and project management, but I just don't see how a 4-year plan is going to be realistic and manageable for a PhD student. I think you need a deadline for every 2 months. And that is why you need your advisor, and every 2 to 3 months you need some honest feedback. And perhaps there are times that projects doesn't work and you need to switch things up. That is the moment you will get to be realistic about your plan and modify it along the path. Have the plan that is going to lead you to the overall objectives, but small enough and incremental enough that you can see productivity beyond it, meeting the small milestones and deadlines, and have an agreement with your advisor from time to time. If you follow my earlier video, you will know that I'm a strong advocate of making a list of to-do items and break down your super PhD project into little manageable post-it sticker. It's called the Kanban board system. I'm not going to repeat myself, but I like to bring up in the reality picture, you are going to have projects that can't be done at all because they are high risk. PhD as opposed to innovate. You are going to face roadblock. I've never talked about it in my videos, but it's also important to put a column that says blocked. For example, if you have an experiment that is no way for it to be run with the current resources that you have, that is the moment you will get to discuss with your advisor what are the alternative projects instead of dreaming about what is going to happen in 4 years and procrastinating. Communicate early and efficiently is a very important skills in your PhD. That's a new way that the world is addressing the constraint of resources and the constraint of human ability. It's called agile management. You will have to first understand how fast you work and what is the scope of your research, and you build everything around what is available instead of trying to look at these 3 years objectives that is scary and paralyzing. The third common mistake is you are expecting instruction from your advisor. This is a really common student mentality. When you are the best student from your class and you get into PhD, there is a value of talking to your advisor and you feel like this is the most valuable moment I can spend with this knowledgeable scientist. But as a PhD student, I would urge that you are now the leader of your project. Your PI is playing a role to mold the project into the right direction, but they are not going to help you, guide you with all the trivial little tasks. If you've missed my video about supervisor communication, I have 2 videos about how to have a positive relationship with your supervisor, as well as what are the problems, how can you solve it with effective email, and I've written templates for you guys. So be proactive. Sometimes you need to propose them the framework and justify why you're doing it as a case. You have to bring up your case confidently and ask for support. And most of the time, you should be in the position to justify why you're doing certain work. If you can't make the decision alone, then ask your PI for advice. But you're supposed to be the active person doing all the thinking. The fourth PhD mistake is you are not working your energy budget. Everyone has different obligations in life. If I live in France, I don't have family, I have a little more time. If I had a baby, I have children, I will have less time. You are the person to decide how is your budget and how fast and how much you're going to work. You don't want to underwork yourself and make your PhD last for 10 years. You want to be in the balancing zone that you are pushing yourself enough and you are uncomfortable each day a little bit, like in the gym. But at the same time, you don't want to go into depression, being overwhelmed by all the work that you have to do as PhD. So there's a balance, and I have made a couple of videos already about how to manage yourself and your energy during your PhD. There are times in PhD you need to just put in the extra hour and you need to just prepare your meal 1 week in advance, put them in freezer and stick with it and just get that critical time of your experiments done. PhD salary is not a salary, it's called a stipend or a scholarship, depending on where you are. In Hong Kong, it's called the studentship. They're not taxable, you have no human resource benefits. The reason is I don't think we comply with human resources expectation. Sometimes there are moments that you will have to embrace the hard work and say yes to it, stick to that style for a short time. Some PhD also work way too hard. I'm not trying to contradict myself, but you have to have a reasonable budget of your energy. Depending on how is your family situation, if you have kids or not, or if you are living abroad just without family, the budget of your time is different. But everyone should have their own budget, and if there is a time that you feel like you are overwhelmed constantly, you're always tired, the last time you go to the gym and work out was 6 months ago, then you're probably facing a project that is too big for yourself to do, and it's time to change your lifestyle. A lot of time PhD students are not efficient and they are bragging about I'm working 72 hours, but in fact they're sitting at the lab doing nothing, or maybe most of the time in that 12-hour day was waiting for the place to run while being exhausted. Then I may argue when you're waiting for your results for that 2 hours, maybe go to the gym and do something that is taking care of your body, because your brain, your physical health is your resources to bring in better quality research and creativity for your research. And you are the only person who can budget that. Maybe you are just afraid of the guilt that people are all working and you are not. But let me tell you, PhD project is like your baby. You are like a mom. They are just different unique situations, and as long as your baby is growing and healthy and they are not abused, then you are still a good mom, and nobody can tell you the otherwise. And the final mistake I have seen is PhD students only take advice from one advisor. I'm not saying to discourage you from respecting your own advisor. I think you must love your subject enough to be there with your advisor for at least 3 to 4 years of time. Some people even compare advisor and PhD relationship as like marriage. You can marry the wrong partner, it can be a big irreversible mistake. Or you choose the wrong PhD advisor, that's another irreversible mistake. If you love the project enough to start this PhD, I think you definitely respect this person tremendously. But at the same time, you need to look at what are the blind spots when you are working with this person. And try to feel that out. This is not a personal attack to your advisor. Everyone has blind spots. I'm coming from Asia. I would not see the culture in Europe, and I need someone who is growing up here to tell me about this landscape. The same as PhD, if you are working and living in a country, you may not get all the information from what is it like to be a postdoc in another country, for example. Or what is it like to find a job in the industry sector? That obviously scientists are academic worker, we don't see beyond that, and there's nothing wrong with it, but you need to be smart about how much advice you are taking from just one source. If you are feeling uncertain how to start your 10% of your week investment on your general career planning during your PhD, you are not alone, and that is also why I wanted to start this coffee break conversation and to break it down for everybody. I know everyone has limited time in the lab, and it's almost unimaginable to reach out to people outside of a university environment, and that's why I think right now the internet is really doing us a favor by helping everyone to connect. And one of my favorite places to do so is to be on LinkedIn. There is a private group that I have been active in. It's called PhD Career Networking Group. There are now over 2,700 members. Simply just reading everyone's post every day was a great use of my time to help my knowledge and have a sneak peek into different career options, so that you are not biased with just one opinion from a narrow, small field. I called it professional development, and I make video about how you can prepare for your job and why is it important to invest 10% of your energy in the week to give yourself the open mind and learn as you work in your PhD project. With that, I leave you to think about what else are the PhD mistakes we could make, and comments below. Take care and thank you for watching my video. See you the next time.